Doctors protect their patients, but how are they protected from computer hackers who threaten and damage medical practices across the country, stealing all of their medical information? These threats are now becoming daily events. Listen to Vicky's story about how a successful 10-person medical practice in Colorado was exploited and literally shut down by hackers. You'll see that the size and notoriety of the business isn't a concern for cyber criminals. They're always looking for internet doors that are left open.
The screen that she saw was a page that essentially said, you were taking you down.
That's when Vicky knew there was trouble. Her computer with all of its contents had been taken over.
You sit there and you think, how could this be? How can they just type in a few letters and find us? How can they just find you and then use you? You have no clue that that's what's going on.
Her husband's family medical practice had been taken over by computer hackers in the U.S. and overseas.
It would never occur to me that someone in Denmark would be looking to Littleton, Colorado to access for whatever purpose they had.
She and her husband thought they had enough security on their computer, but it wasn't enough.
When someone says you have a firewall, I know now to ask, what is that firewall?
Once they realized they had been hacked into, they notified authorities. Their computers were confiscated so the hackers could be identified.
An investigator's main goal is to identify the perpetrator.
Mike Marshall is an internet crime expert who has investigated these types of cases.
They will treat the computer system, the network, as a crime scene, and a majority of the time will have to actually seize the computer system that was hacked to conduct a proper examination.
And that can take a month, even years to investigate.
We were out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We had no system at all.
They had no computer data to refer to.
We were doing everything manually at that point, scheduling appointments. We didn't know what appointments had been booked, so we were double booking patients. You didn't know if you were going to have a patient show up that, had scheduled an appointment 2 weeks before, because we had none of that information. We had no way of billing anyone. We had no way of knowing what monies were owed us.
But Vicky did do the right thing. Even though her system was down for a while, she didn't hesitate to call authorities.
What you should be hesitant in is not having the proper protection in advance of being hacked. That is probably your first line of defense, is not worrying about who do I call when I get hacked, is putting the protections in place ahead of time so you aren't hacked.
Vicky and her husband realized their business had to move to a whole different level of security for their computer system. The hackers cost them more than $100,000 to get their practice and its data back in working order. Something they could have avoided if they realized that securing their computer system is an ongoing process.
Once we had to stand out there and say to our patients, someone has been into our computer system and we're not sure what information they've gotten.
But luckily, no information was released.
If he hadn't had that level of trust built, we probably would not have just been out financially. We would have lost a lot of patients in the process also. During this whole time that they were in, they were using our servers to download music and movies.
They were also downloading pornography.
It's just amazing to see firsthand what all was going on in the system that we had no knowledge of.
The hackers really don't know when they're out there hacking. They're looking for systems that are open, systems that are not secure. They're looking for someone who's left the door unlocked. They really don't know if they're getting into a multi-billion-dollar company or a startup or a mom-and-pop shop.
The way to avoid this from happening to your business, no matter what size it is, make sure the system is secure, that someone is constantly monitoring it, and that you have continuously updated professional security systems in place.
A person who is truly wanting to secure their system needs a constant updating of their security protocols, of their security technology and their security systems to stay one step ahead of these hackers. As we have seen technology change in this industry, the technology used by hackers has also changed. And you need to have a system that can be updated and that can stay one step ahead of the people that are trying to perpetrate these crimes.
Don't learn the hard way like Vicki did.
This is a real situation. This can happen to you.
What prevents this crime from happening to you or your doctor's office? It's not only important to make sure each patient gets the right medication, it's also important to make sure you take the proper steps in protecting that information. Don't settle for an answer like, "We have a firewall." Insist on an answer that includes perimeter network security systems, because firewalls are simply not enough.